All right. Hello, Alec. Welcome to the stream.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I think I'm going to turn your voice up just a bit. But if someone can confirm in chat how that sounds, you can say hello again.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, that's looking pretty good. Maybe I'll boost it just a tiny bit more. All right. So let's go ahead and open up the game here. Does it have background music of its own?
Yes, it does. It also has a music slider in it in the settings.
Okay, perfect. Well, don't worry. I can sort of externally control it from the Windows
Okay.
volume controller. But yeah, I saw this played on McRep's stream just earlier.
Okay.
So
So you're a little spoiled as to the mechanics.
not exactly. Like
Okay.
it was in the corner of my eye. Um, so all right, WASD to roll in each direction, and then you've got different mechanics that like fire when the die sort of like faces up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you want to, yeah, when you roll, so I want to go up, and then I want to like, oh yeah, I see. Okay.
Yeah. There's a couple ways of tackling each part of it.
Yeah, so it's all about just keeping your 1 and your 4 in the correct orientation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of those numbers is more important to have control of than the other, though.
Yeah, okay. So the best thing to do would be I said I was gonna do this earlier, is to like just go ahead and get a physical D4. Um,
Oh, so I learned the dice model is incorrect, technically, but I learned this like right after submitting.
oh, because
Um,
the 5 and the 3 are opposite.
yeah, but I think 4 and 1 are still next to each other on a real die, so the numbers with abilities are okay. It's just you might not be able to predict where the 4 is.
Yeah. Oh no, I messed that up. Okay. Heck, I don't want to fall off. That would be disastrous. All right. Well, can you talk a little bit about your game development background and your role on this project?
Okay, yeah. So I actually haven't really developed many games before, but I'm a software developer as my job, so it's not something that I'm unfamiliar with. Um, my role on this game, I did a lot of the early movement stuff, some of the trig that we got to like make the dice move properly, had to dig that knowledge out. Um, and then uh, and then I also worked on the UI a lot and level design. Um, the other person on the project, he worked on cleaning up my early um, movement code because it was kind of hacky. I was trying to get a prototype out quickly, so I wasn't really doing good design. So yeah.
I gotta say, the like, I know it's just isometric, but for some reason it's still a little tricky for me to wrap my brain around. Oh no.
Oh yeah, where stuff is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that is something that I'm considering how to address. I'm open to suggestions on it. It's one thing that I think I could do a lot better with on the game, but I haven't heard it as much in other people's comments, which has surprised me.
I think it might just like here. I'll turn my keyboard 45 degrees. There we go. No, honestly, isometric just like works in some people's brains and in other people's it doesn't.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's also tricky because I'm like trying to line up these faces of the die, and I'm mostly just like guessing and checking. I haven't like mentally internalized um, the sort of like proper order. Oh, okay, there we go. See, that was just like purely by chance.
Yeah, that's something that I see a lot with people playing it. It seems to get better actually as a result of the lack of checkpoints, like you just encountered there towards the end of the
Yep.
level. I pretty much, once you have learned the mechanics, I want you to complete the whole level with those mechanics.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna play a whole bunch of these games inevitably as part of this jam, and I still don't think I'm gonna remember how to orient a die. Like there was one game I played yesterday where it was more about predicting the way that the die was
Uh-huh.
going to roll, and that one was much easier to keep track of. But all the other ones that just rely on like what face is rotating and what face is up,
hmm
I'm.
The the handy thing though, I will say about this is that it's slightly different in that
Mhm.
there's only actually one face that you really need to be aware of.
Insofar as you're trying to remember like six face down to.
Well, so the four is the face that always kills people,
Yes.
as you are seeing pretty easily. Um, yeah, and so the game is a lot more about controlling the four and
Hmm.
keeping that under control. Always knowing where that is how you do well in the game.
Yeah. Oh, that
Um,
was it.
mhm.
There we go. Okay. Oh no. Okay.
The
Yeah.
nice thing is with the one, you can hit it from like there's only one spot on the die the one can be where you aren't able to hit it.
Mhm.
Um, and if you hit it from any direction, it's kind of the same effect. The only uh, thing that matters is where the four is.
Yeah. It's so I have to ask, like, how does it feel for you to control this game? Like, can you easily remember and identify?
Yeah, I can do the fastest route in about 40 seconds without any like specific memorization. Um, and it's only 55 moves. So it
Wow.
feels really intuitive to me after playing it a lot.
Hmm.
It's definitely one that like is hard to get used to right off the bat because controlling the four is so important. And you learn tricks to control the four easily as you kind of get used to the game.
You're using the like proverbial you, not you as in me. Like I am
Yeah.
not. No, not happening.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It some people it clicks with easier than others. I always have hints that I want to give people, and I think I can teach anyone in about a minute or two how to play this game really effectively. Um, but learning those strategies yourself can be tricky, and that's something that maybe I could give better hints about in the text, like the tutorial text.
Like the problem is I can get into a situation where I'm like what I just did there, what you're probably seeing
Yeah.
in the lag. Um, I can realize like, oh, I'm well set up. Now let me
Mhm.
back off, do that again, and then roll over to four. But unless I'm in that magical like one and four in the right way, in the right position.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I might. I'm tempted to give you a hint. Tell me if you want it or not. Because there are hints that make the game a lot easier once you kind of realize them.
Hmm. I mean, it's at this point I know it's gonna be more. Oh, no, my God, that's such a painful reset. Ah, I
Oh,
think it's one of those
oh yeah.
things where like no matter how important it is for people to like really learn the game,
Mhm.
at some point there's just like if I haven't learned it by now, I'm not gonna learn it.
No,
So making me reset.
I think that you can. I think that there's one trick that I kind of learned while playing it that is really helpful, but I'm trying not to spoil you because I want a genuine.
I I don't think it's coming. I don't
Okay. Do you want the hit then?
I think so. Just because
Okay.
like I'm not focused on trying to internalize the game's mechanics. I'm focused on trying to
Yeah.
keep the conversation going. So let's
So
see if I can
so
at least
okay.
show the game off.
So pay attention to the right side of the die when you
Yeah.
roll forward and backwards.
Hmm.
It doesn't change. And then if you, it's the same thing for the left and forward side of the dies. Is that they're not going to change at all if you're moving um, in the right direction. And
Right.
so there's ways that you can use that to control the four, where if you put the four on the right side and
Hmm.
then roll forward, you're going to be fine. You're not going to roll off the cliff as long as you're rolling forward. And then there's techniques to roll that four onto the back from the side that are fairly simple to remember. And then it's just a matter about getting the one on the right side.
Yeah, not like that though. Not like that. Just kidding. Okay. See, like, yeah, I know that I like that is one thing.
So the trick for, yeah, sometimes you need to back off too with the four. So
Yeah.
if you realize that you don't have this space to really consistently get the four
Hmm.
where you want it, then it's okay to back off a step and retry with the four on the same side. So you notice like one of the moves is you can roll the four onto the bottom
Hmm.
and then roll back and then it's on the front. You just got to watch where the four is and really be intentional about your moves, especially your lateral moves when it's on the side.
Hmm. Okay, so I've made it here a couple times. I've never made it to the shadowed area.
Yeah.
Moves 531. What did you say your like record is like 53?
55.
55.
That's
So
that's like super optimized, like me running through it, really like picking at little parts and trying to cut moves off.
yeah, so I'm basically like, okay, that would kill me. I can roll forward and then I can roll. No, wait.
So
Uh,
with this one, it's a 2 block gap, and so you really need to hit the 1-4 combo
yeah,
perfectly on the edge, and you've got a kind of limited space to do that as well.
yeah, an incredibly limited space. Like I'm just gonna. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So what was the like inspiration behind this particular like dice rolling over faces, obviously, but like to do like the jumping and the moving mechanic? How did you arrive at that?
So I had basically just started out with the idea. Okay, my first idea was pretty much roll of the dice. What if you are a dice that's rolling around? And that's all I had. And I was kind of thinking along the same. Oh, looks like you almost got it.
No, no, I
No,
don't.
oh, you you had it.
That's the
You had
problem
it.
is that you can end up in a situation where the four is on the side that you can't see, and then suddenly it rolls onto the top and you've killed yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. But so I started out with that idea. You're a dice that's rolling around. I was thinking about doing what I've seen in a lot of other games, which is you have to roll so some side is facing up to press a button. But I didn't really want to make a whole game about that
Hmm.
because to me, I don't like the restrictiveness of that. It kind of forces you to just do the perfect method. And I'm not a big fan of how it seems like as a developer, it's really easy to implement that mechanic without really being very good at it.
Hmm.
Because you can just record some path the dice has to take to get to that position and then design the level so it's only that path. And you don't really have to understand your game very well to develop a level that's difficult. And so I thought the movement was interesting just because whenever I play games, I always am thinking about, I want to play the character with the most movement. Oh, yeah, good.
Oh my
Nice.
god, it's
That's
like
not the longest run I've seen. I've seen
oh
19
good,
minutes.
oh
I've
good.
seen 19 minutes for a longest run.
There's like this pit of stress that is just like ah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's it's definitely challenging. But
Free.
yeah, so I like the movement. I initially thought of the jump, and the jump just made sense because I got a dice out of just like a Monopoly set and was holding it in my hand and being like, okay, what does this look like as it's moving around? And then what would be fun to do? Like, oh, what if it just jumps up? Um, and I was considering making a moving platform so that the jump had some like purpose. But I ended up abandoning that because I really wanted the movement to be super precise because the cube itself is really precise. Um, and so I abandoned the idea of moving platforms and went for a more kind of almost like a turn-based game a little bit, because I just like that idea better. Um, and from there, it made sense. It just made easy sense to add the dash,
Mm.
because you need some way that jump, that vertical height, is actually going to be useful. Um, and yeah, and I'm happy with that, how that works out. There's a couple mechanics that I never explain in the game and that are always, they're not essential, but they're interesting to see if players get them. That actually the jump opens up, and that's kind of a pathway for future level design for me.
Interesting. And it's not something I seem to have stumbled across.
Yeah. So one of the mechanics is if you roll off the ledge, but you roll onto a face like a 1 or a 4,
Hmm.
you will actually activate that face if that's the face
Oh,
you are rolling to. Obviously, if you roll onto a 4 then go off the ledge, it doesn't work like that.
right.
Um, but that can be really useful because um, it can make you able to do longer jumps. Like you can technically do a 3 block gap jump, in the base game as is, with that.
Hmm. Wow.
And it can also be used to speed up some runs, like that 55 move run. Or actually, I think twice, I used that rolling onto like a 4 off a ledge,
Oh my
to
gosh.
save a couple moves.
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely like really tricky to get my brain around, and I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like once you get it, once it clicks, you just like have a mastery of it. But until you
Hmm.
invest that mental effort, like it is entirely too easy for my brain to just like seek like, oh, if I just keep running around in circles, eventually it'll line up.
Yeah, and I think that maybe that's where, some of the baggage, that people have from playing other similar games where you're rolling a dice around,
Mm-hmm.
can put them at a disadvantage, honestly. Because in a lot of other dice games, you don't really have to understand the solution after you've found it.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to find it. And so with this game, I think it's a little different because of the lack of checkpoints after the start.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you really do need to understand why, what's happening is happening.
Yeah, I definitely wish I had like a better mental
Hmm.
pattern for like how to rotate the four onto face. Like there are still like some key mechanics that I just have not internalized, even though I managed to beat the game. It's just
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that, that's sort of one path for in the future, how the game I think could be improved is with maybe some better sort of optional descriptions of like hints how you can do better.
Hmm.
Is maybe some more information about the four early on,
Hmm.
because yeah, it's really common to see people just kind of rolling around and not quite getting the pattern fully.
Yeah. So do you have any like future plans for this game going forwards?
Yeah, I've heard from a bunch of friends and like just people the game clicks with, that they're interested in, seeing more to the more levels basically, or
Hmm.
just more than one level, or more content to it because for some people, for whatever reason it clicks with, and they, they just want more. So I'm gonna try to do that. I want to clean up some of the code, the existing code, particularly the settings code is really messy, and I'm kind of working on that right now to get that cleaner.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, after I get some of the code cleaned up and also some solutions to I think common issues that people have with the game, I'm going to do a bunch of level design and probably add a new ability. I think that the next ability will involve rotation.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I've got plans. I think particularly a couple of the things I really want to implement are um, I want to implement a better visual system for the input queue because all the input is buffered, which is a feature I personally really like because it allows you to like if you know the level perfectly, you can input all your commands at the very start and then just watch the game win.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that some people I've seen have a tough time
Hmm.
with that. Oh,
Yeah, no, it's not
dang.
happening a second time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. But yeah, I think I can do a lot better with the presentation of information and being a little bit more responsive to the user. I think also one area for that is the death animation is really not really a death animation. I think the
Mm.
block basically teleports 250 blocks down. Um, and so it just slowing that down a little bit and letting people process their death would probably be a good idea.
On the other hand, I think the fast iteration time with the like quick death is actually a plus.
Okay. Okay.
But I do think that like this is a teachable skill, right? Like the
Mhm.
if you can create a tutorial that maybe puts people on a like more restrictive path that kind of like forces them to internalize the skills, like you almost have a little too much possibility space to like muck around and not force your brain to like learn how to move properly.
Mhm. And I think there's another opportunity in that for basically placing, when trying to teach certain concepts,
Hmm.
there can be something like, basically roll a four in this direction and then in this direction that's on the ground that can show you that in real time depending on your current position would be really helpful for people just trying to learn like how to move that around the cube properly. I mean, get some repetition in with that.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, even just having a like some kind of ghost indicator when the four face is not visible,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
that just
That
it's here. Careful.
yeah, yeah. I think that would be good, and maybe making some of that conditional on time, where people that are running through it really quickly and it's clicking with, they don't necessarily see that, but as soon as like the game can notice that, well, you're at 9 minutes, maybe I should start giving you a couple hints. That could be good, and maybe a good setting to have disableable as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it is a feature that I think people can opt into because
Yeah.
it is very useful to just like know at all times what is on the different faces of the die. Um, oops, I can even imagine a version of this where like just pausing for a second, like holding still, makes the four appear on the side of the die, just to like
Oh,
remind you.
yeah.
But I think just having a setting in like an options menu that you can toggle it on and off, because I don't know if you would want to wait, because then if people
Mhm.
start counting on it, you don't want to like constantly have to stop. So
Yeah. Yeah.
ignore that.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah, a toggleable setting for just four alone, I think would be a good idea.
Yeah, and of course it goes without saying, but like actually basing it on a real die with the faces opposite, adding opposite faces
Yeah,
adding up to
yeah.
7.
Yeah, no, I know. I didn't know about that before the jam. So that's like a new a
It's
new
a
piece of
very
information for me.
yeah, it's such an odd bit of trivia, but it's
It
I
makes
guess
sense, yeah.
yeah, in a weird way, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it being this way. I think just if people have a mental model
Yeah.
of a regular die, it would certainly help. So
Yeah, and
couldn't
then
hurt,
they
right?
could tell the side of the, four face with math as well.
Yeah, like you know if your 3 faces up, then your 4 faces down.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it still
definitely.
doesn't help you like if the 4 face is there now. Yeah. Yeah, I think that like being able to teach the player how to do a rotation to like reorient themselves would definitely be really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think you're right about that.
No, okay, I managed. So that was interesting there. I actually like you're gonna see it in a second, but I managed to like not trigger the roll forward fast enough.
Yeah, so that's where the input buffering is normally nice because as soon as you pass a certain point and you start falling kind of more, you can start falling a little bit and
Mhm.
still put in the forward, but I think maybe a little explanation that of the movement buffering and seeing that visualization on the side would be kind of helpful for that because you can like if you know you're gonna go back and then go forwards, then you can just SW and you'll get it every single time. But it's not necessarily intuitive for people that want to try to jump at the very top. And we
Mm.
we might be able to also make that a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah, I think that would be neat. All right. Well, if you do end up making a post-gen version of it, I would be more than happy to check it out. And if anybody has any questions to ask in chat, now's the time. But in the meantime, where can people find you on social media? And do you have any other projects that you'd like to plug?
So this was actually my first game jam. So I don't really have other products. I do have a Twitter. I'm not super active on that, but I have been recently talking with another guy who actually got me to join the jam, and really thankful for interactions there. I can drop the Twitter link in the chat.
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. All right.
Well, I just want to say in person, thank you so much for the generosity, all the gift subs. Super
Oh yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I think that you do a great job with it looks like you genuinely want to know more about other developers' process and all that, and so like you look like you work hard at it, so uh, seem
I
very
do think.
deserving.
Thank you, because I genuinely do think it's fascinating. By the way, I remembered this is the game that I was talking about that I think did the rotation puzzle really well.
Okay.
It's called That's the Way the Die Rolls, and I'll just drop a link in chat there real quick. And what's cool about this, as you can see from the picture, it challenges you, like, the die is going to follow this path, and it challenges you to remember what face is it's going to end up being at the end. So
Okay.
maybe you can kind of reverse engineer the logic that went into this game to create some kind of tutorial for your game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
But yeah, so in general with the developer interviews, I'm just gonna say real quick that like I really think that behind every game, like whether it's a AAA game or an indie game, especially with jam games, there's always like the insane deadlines and the ideas and the like what you have time for, what you don't have time for, how you like crunch to get it all done. And yeah, there's always a story behind every game, and I want to talk to developers and hear about that. And yeah, I think that other people would agree that it's really interesting to hear about all that. It might help you get some insights on development that you might not have picked up on yourself.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
All right, well, thanks again for coming on the stream and submitting your game. Um,
Yeah,
I'm so
thank you
glad I
for the
got to
stream.
beat it at least the once.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too. You have no clue. Whenever I see somebody playing the game on stream, I'm always yelling like, "Oh, you've got it! You're almost there!" Like, I know exactly when I see where sometimes I saw multiple times where you've got a great setup. You've got it. All you need to do is roll left and then roll forward and you're good.
And
And
then
so it's great that you beat it once, but I love people playing it because for me it's so intuitive now, but it's not that way for everybody.
yeah, I mean, I I wish I'd like had a better command of the game and didn't
Hmm.
just sort of like win by default. But hey, I'll take anything that is a victory. So.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, all that said, if you do end up making a post-gen version of it, please, like as I said, every Monday between 3:30 and 5:30 p.m., I
Okay,
do feedback streams, so you can reach out, and if you got a post-gen version, you can share that with me.
great. All right, thank you.
All right. Well, have yourself a great evening, and I guess we'll call it there.
Yeah,
Bye for now.
thank you.